Indeed actually found that over 75% of professionals reported experiencing burnout symptoms in the past year alone. That's a staggering number. So people are feeling trapped.
We're tackling an incredibly important topic today. More important now, perhaps, than ever before. We're talking about burnout. Let's face it, the traditional 9-to-5 grind can be exhausting, soul-crushing. The stress and that feeling of being constantly on, it's no wonder that burnout is on the rise at the moment. So we're going to discuss whether there's a business model out there that can actually be an antidote for burnout and an anti-burnout business model. So, Lewis, I think let's talk about this because it's exciting to think about if there's a business out there that can allow us to build financial and time freedom all while avoiding burnout. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good. That's exactly what we're going to be discussing today. And it's a really important topic, especially on the minds of people in today's day and age. I know that my recent experiences have shown me how running online businesses can be the ultimate escape plan from that burnout, but only if done correctly, because it's very easy to create yourself another hamster wheel, which then just creates more stress and steals more of your attention and your time and creates a whole different level of burnout, even though you're an entrepreneur. So we've got to be careful not to fall into that trap. And so that's the topic of today's conversation.
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. So we'll dive straight in then, Lewis. Why do you think that burnout is such a big issue today?
Yeah, it's a great question because, I mean, it is a huge issue, isn't it? We hear about this more and more in people's day-to-day lives. And I think it's because we're so constantly connected that every new app or new technology or new device that's invented is another steal on our attention. It's another demand on our brains. And so that pressure to be always on, always activated, always on, like you can't switch off. It's just relentless. It just builds up and it creeps. It doesn't happen instantly. You'll see, you download an app and it says, oh, do you want to allow notifications for this app? And you just usually click, oh, allow, that's fine. And then you download another app and you say allow. And before you know it, you've got something pinging at all hours of the day and the night, whether it's work related or whether it's social, because we're not just talking about being burnt out from your job here. In today's age of Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and all these other apps, there's constantly something fighting for your attention. And we haven't evolved fast enough to keep up with that change in attention demand. And so we're caught off guard. We're just not mentally prepared for it. And I think there has to be a clear link between that rise in demand for attention, the inability to switch off, and the increasing rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout effectively. So yeah, I think emails pinging all day, social media feeds overflowing with unrealistic expectations, comparing our lives to other people that we see in unrealistic comparisons, like that pressure to always be on, always be connected, always be sharing is just relentless. And I know a recent study by Indeed actually found that over 75% of professionals reported experiencing burnout symptoms in the past year alone. That's a staggering number. So people are feeling trapped. They're feeling exhausted, they're feeling unfulfilled, and you've probably felt it yourself at some point. If you're listening to this, maybe you feel it right now, whether it's work that's stealing your attention, maybe that's the thing that's stealing your attention from your evenings, from your weekends. It's sapping your enjoyment out of your free time because it's spilling over into that free time. Or even if it's just the habit of checking your phone, picking it up, constantly being notified. You pick up your phone. What's the first app you go to when you pick up your phone? Pay attention to that the next time you pick up your phone. Is it Facebook you open? Is it Instagram? Do you go to Slack? Do you go to WhatsApp? What do you pick up and immediately open that is most likely stealing your attention? And you can go to the screen time setting if you're an iPhone user and have a look and see which apps are taking most of your attention away. And so it's like we're driving through life with the accelerator pedal just jammed to the floor. Of course, if we just do that for long enough, eventually we're going to run out of power, we're going to run out of fuel, and the car just breaks down. I know that I recently realized that because this used to be the case when I worked in a 9-to-5 job, and I think after I read the 4-hour work week, I became very good at compartmentalizing it and saying, right, I'm going to batch my emails into the morning, do the deep work throughout the day, and then batch them again into the afternoon, and then switch off at the end of the day. And I became very good at that. But as I kind of changed and evolved and started my own company and then multiple companies, I've realized that I'm pouring my heart and soul into these companies. But what can happen at times is you forget the rules, you forget the boundaries that you originally set up for your own benefit, because you now love and enjoy what you're doing when it's your own business. But the same burnout end result can still happen, and it can creep up on you, and it's just not sustainable. I know that if I were to check my phone at 9 a.m., 9 p.m. or midnight, there would always be something new for me to do. There'd always be a team member who's in another country, or an app or an email or something that is demanding my attention. So because of that, well, I'm not able to stay awake 24 hours a day constantly working. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And I know this stuff already, and I'm sure you do as well. But isn't it interesting how it creeps up on you again? And it happens all over again. And it's why so many people, I think, are looking for alternative ways to work now, and ways to create a life that's on their terms, where freedom comes first.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, so interested to hear your recent feelings, Lewis, and to understand that you can resonate with that staggering statistic that 75% of all professionals had burnout symptoms last year. And that is incredible. I mean, the chances are that the majority of people then listening to this have had symptoms, at least feelings of being on the way to burnout, if not experiencing full burnout symptoms completely. So it is key. I think something that you mentioned as well that I completely agree with is the fact that everything's fighting for our attention, because we're in an attention economy at the moment. I mean, some of the biggest companies in the world right now, like Facebook, obviously they're in Instagram as well, Twitter, they're having billions of pounds spent every single year into how can we get better at grabbing people's attention. So we're almost against that market in a way of trying to be in control of our own attention, rather than allowing it to be pulled in different directions from these companies or the businesses that we run, or the jobs that we work for. So it's so important to have that control and live life on our own terms, but we have to be conscious of doing that. And I think it's easy, isn't it, Lewis, to let things slip if we're not conscious. So I think that brings us to the core of the discussion that we want to have today. Is we can see these symptoms happening, but we want to have antidotes to burnout that's so prevalent at the moment. And why do you think that there's certain business models that can be an antidote to burnout?
Yeah, I think it comes to the core of how they're designed, whether they are designed as a lifestyle first business, or whether they're designed primarily as a profit generator, and then your job is to try and fit your lifestyle around them. There's a massive difference between the two of those, and the latter is certainly harder to achieve that balance and switch off, because you've not created the business around your desired end result of a lifestyle. And actually, a fascinating documentary that, if you haven't already seen it, it's a few years old, but it's on Netflix, and it's called The Social Dilemma. And that's a real eye-opening insight into how, if you're not paying for a service like a social media platform, then you are the product of it. You're the product that the advertisers on that network are buying, which is interesting, because the model we're talking about today, we're actually acting as the advertisers. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. These mechanisms of advertising are powerful, but if you become the product of them, eventually it's not healthy. So it's about us, and no one else will set these boundaries for you. We have to take control of our own minds here. So yeah, the high ticket dropshipping model offers several key advantages to help combat burnout. And I'd argue that it's the home turf advantage model that we've put together is the business model that is most built around lifestyle freedom. There's the least time input of any business model I've seen once you're up and running. So firstly, there's the focus on freedom right from the start. Imagine, you're chilling on a beach in Bali or Thailand, and you're sitting there and your feet up, and you know that your business is continuing to generate you revenue in the background. You've not had to do anything that day. You've not had to log in. Your systems or virtual assistants are there forwarding orders through to suppliers. You're not having to create any content. You're not having to do anything. It's all built. Now, you had to put in the work at some point and front load those efforts. But once you've done it, that's the power of automation. It's built, it's done, it's a system. Now, the traditional world of work or business that many of us came from, if you left a traditional 9-to-5 job, that often requires constant management. You're either chained to your desk, like physically you're at your desk all day, answering emails, dealing with problems, putting out fires. Or even if you're one of the lucky ones, supposedly lucky ones, that says, oh, well, my boss is very flexible, I'm able to work remotely. If that's true, just ask yourself, are you really able to switch off? Even though you can work remotely, do you find that every time your phone or your emails ping, that you get a little drip of dopamine and you're just jumping straight back into the hamster wheel, and that you're back on that treadmill? Because switching between tasks frantically, even if you're doing it remotely and attempting to multitask but not really doing anything that well, it just dilutes your attention. And so it steals away your ability from being able to truly focus on one thing and creating something that you're proud of. And I felt exactly that, whilst I was working. And so it's no wonder people get burnt out, because it's very easy and it's almost the default. If you don't pay attention to this, the companies in the world that are vying for your attention and the other people and the things in society will just by default steal it. So it's an active mechanism that you have to use and activate to protect your attention. It's not something that you can do passively. And high ticket dropshipping as a business model kind of flips the script on that. So if you can leverage automation tools and work with reliable suppliers, set your business up so that it's basically on autopilot, as a business owner, you can free up your time. You can massively reduce your stress. Of course, if you want to scale it to £100 million per year and really become the number one brand in the world for your niche, that's probably going to take some more input and time and building a team. But maybe you just want to earn £100,000 a year. Just replace a good income, and be able to run your business from anywhere and not have to put in huge amounts of hours every day. It's kind of like if you're the traditional world of business is like you're juggling 12 balls at once and you're trying to not drop one and keep everything going, and you've got social media here and friends events there and trying to get a promotion here, and then you're trying to balance relationships there. Whereas with the home turf advantage model, it's like you've got 2 balls to juggle. You've got business and then lifestyle, and you can kind of keep them both going. Or even better, you can create a machine that juggles the balls for you, so you can just step back and be like, okay, I've got the freedom now to unwind. I can explore new opportunities, or I can just use the time to relax and reset and come back recharged, all while your business continues to keep running smoothly.